Kawasaki's brand new ZX-10R has just been launched here in Barcelona. What are the headline figures? Let's start with the engine. So 200 horsepower now. They've changed the pistons, they've changed the camshafts. There's been a massive emphasis on the change of crankshaft too. So according to World Superbike riders, Johnny Ray and Tom Sykes, the bike flicks from left to right and changes direction much better than before. Now, one of the other big upgrades is to the electronics package, and that's where the ZX-10R fell a bit short compared to some of the competitors. Now, not the case. It's got a 6-axis IMU system which effectively monitors exactly what the bike is doing everywhere: pitch, roll, yaw, the lot. So you have cornering ABS, you have an 11-stage traction control system. There's no rider modes, but everything is adjustable, like engine braking control. There's an electronic steering damper, there's a quick shifter that you can use on the upshift, and there's also a race kit that lets you do downshifts like throttle blips, on similar to the system on the Ducati Panigale as well. What else is there? There's new forks, gas forks, which are top spec, similar to the ones they use in World Superbike. New Brembo M50 brakes, which are going to be massively powerful. Now, in terms of styling, they have done some tweaks to the fairing, to the aerodynamics, but obviously look at it, you need the two bikes side by side to really see the differences between them. So that's why we're going to head to Kawasaki's World Superbike factory here in Barcelona to have a closer look at the bike and see how it differs really compared to that old bike. So we're here opposite the Catalunya circuit at Kawasaki's World Superbike headquarters to have a closer look at the new ZX-10R. Now, because the bike looks fairly similar to the old model, we thought it would make sense to look underneath first, see what's underneath the skin. So let's start with the engine. The bike now makes 200 horsepower, so it's right up there with the other superbikes, but that goes up to 207 horsepower with ram air, so when you're actually going there at speed. So that's lighter pistons, it's got new, more aggressive camshaft timing. They've made a massive emphasis on the crankshaft, so it's now 20% lighter, which gives the bike way better, less inertia. So when you're on circuit on the street, it's going to flick from left to right a lot faster, feel a lot lighter. Basically, everything on this bike within the engine has been made lighter or stronger or whatever is required to get the bike to be more performance orientated. So the airbox is now 2 litres larger than before to let more air flow in. The intake and the exhaust valves are now made from titanium. The exhaust is made from titanium to help it be lighter and stronger. It's got a closer ratio gearbox, so from 2nd to 6th gear, it's all much closer. It's going to allow you to accelerate a lot faster than before. And finally, the electronic throttle valves basically allow the bike to have a proper ride-by-wire throttle, which goes into that new electronics package, which is a massive update for the bike this year. Now, the ZX-10 has always had a really good traction control system, but on the electronic side, compared to some of the other bikes, it hasn't got the launch control, it hasn't got the wheelie control, it hasn't got all the kind of Gucci things that those other bikes have. That's been addressed now. It has pretty much everything. So a bit like the R1, it's got that inertial measurement unit, which measures 6 axes of movement, yaw, pitch, roll, everything you want. So it knows exactly what the bike is doing all the time. So there's launch control, wheelie control, cornering ABS, which they're calling cornering management system. So it's not quite the same. There's an 11-stage traction control system. So the first 3 systems have 3 settings within them, and then there's 2 more extreme track modes, which I imagine will just kind of rein back that traction control setting a bit more, make everything a bit less intrusive than it was before. But effectively, this bike has got everything you want. A quick shifter that works on both upshifts, and if you have the race kit, it also allows you to do downshifts too, and then a very nice electronic steering damper from Öhlins. There's also been some geometry tweaks. So the chassis geometry has been changed to allow better handling, but some of the really noticeable stuff that people are going to kind of clock their eye on is the suspension. So the bike now uses Showa gas forks, and they're the first ever to be used on a production bike. It's also got a new rear shock from Showa that is also got an external gas chamber on it, and that's just going to let you have more feel because it's effectively separating out the suspension to let one thing do the damping and one thing do the actual stroke. Next to those front forks, there's also brand new Brembo monoblock calipers, the M50s, which are all you'll ever need.
I think with the new bike, we can really make the bike from the base a more racing machine. So I think we can make a big step in performance from not just a lap time point of view, but also over race distance. So I'm really excited to get our hands on the new bike and make it into SPK trim. The world of racing is always evolving, always taking the next step forward. So with Kawasaki bringing this base bike out, it gives us a much better base to start from. So it really should benefit us in race trim.
You know, I've been the rider who's obviously been there consistently and given the feedback. So a lot of hours, a lot of hard work and commitment has gone into getting these comments. And essentially, this has given us a much better package with the current ZX-10R model, and you know, all of that information has been utilised into what will be a much stronger track and road 2016 Ninja ZX-10R model.
There's obviously some cool styling tweaks too, a few other upgrades, braided hoses, all the things that you'd expect to see and want to see on a bike like this. But unfortunately for today, it's just on display. We're not going to get to ride it yet. That is going to be in January when we get to ride it at circuit. I don't know where yet. I cannot wait though, because it looks the nuts and it has all the ingredients to be an absolute superbike killer.